Is it possible?
Well, so that's the important question. I think for me, this is why I'm saying keeping them as low as I can, because we are hearing suggestions about, well, why don't you just freeze taxes? Why don't you cut taxes? When you're growing as fast as we are, and when most of that growth is happening in new areas where they currently don't have those services, it's not possible. I think that's something that we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be honest with the people that we want to serve. And that's why I have been very clear that I've the only member of council, current or former, who has successfully put forward motions to reduce the budget. I've been able to reduce the budget by about $80 million over my time on council. But even with that success, we need to be very clear in setting clear expectations around what happens as we go forward. And that's why over the next 4-year budget cycle, so starting in January, as mayor, I want to get out across the entire community and co-create that budget with Edmontonians, making sure we're all having input into that, making sure that we understand the costs of different services and increasing service levels. And then once we get that full understanding, being able to put forward a series of recommendations that we can get behind that will allow us to provide the services and amenities people want to have a good quality of life, while at the same time keeping those costs down as best we can.
Okay, Sumayo is asking us, asking you actually. It comes with a lot of loading issues, but
Yeah.
she said, if you get elected, how are you able to help new immigrants to the city? I would add there are a lot of issues coming up because you heard the province just announced they're going to put the driver license with the Canadian mark,
Yeah.
which are going to have definitely impact to the negative impact to the new Canadians. How are you planning to help the new immigrants?
So as a city, we have a few different areas we can provide support in and already do. So that is making sure we're working with different organizations like the Newcomer Center, where we actually work with different groups to provide access to our transit service, in many cases for free. Similarly, we do the same thing for recreation centers. We want to make sure that when folks are settling here in Edmonton, especially when they're coming from outside Canada, that they're not struggling to navigate a system, which can sometimes feel very complex. And so we want to streamline the system to make it easy to apply for those services. People should have easy access to transit. People should have easy access to recreation in the city. And that goes a long way, but we also have work to do on things like transit. So there are parts of the city, especially where we see more newcomers, where transit service is not as robust as it needs to be, which makes it hard for somebody who's settled here to be able to access work, to be able to access education, to be able to access the day-to-day amenities that they need. And so this is something I've brought forward. I want to make sure we're expanding our transit service. So it's looking at those municipal services that we have, continuing to support them, expand them, make it easier to apply for them, and at the same time working with the organizations that help newcomers when they're coming in to settle to Edmonton to provide any support that we can. We've done a lot of that work over the years. I think there's more work we can do with the different organizations, but I think we have a good framework and foundation in place right now.
Under Knack, the city and police commission have just unveiled a new police chief. You know, a lot of new Canadians in Edmonton have issues with the police, but nevertheless, the ROS school resource officer were installed, and the Cardin is also back. So what's your plan to face those two issues that a lot of new Canadians have problems?
Yeah, those two issues, unfortunately, in particular, fall both, the carding fell under the provincial government, and the school resource officers is something under the school board. So that's why as we come up to the municipal election on October 20th, it's always important to remind people, you're not just voting for a mayor, you're not just voting for a councillor, but you should also be voting for a school board trustee. School board trustee elections are often some of the lowest voter turnout you can imagine. So we really encourage people to get involved in all of those. Where I do think the city has a major role right now is making sure that the police are actively involved in the community. I've had a number of meetings with community groups and different organizations where they feel the challenge right now that they've been facing is that the community groups find themselves the one always reaching out to the police to talk about issues or concerns or to develop that relationship versus the police taking the charge in the first place.
Okay. definitely we will have a lot of other times for interview.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you will be back. My last question will be, what's your knowledge with the Somali community?
I would say it's quite good. I've been engaged with the Somali community quite well over the years. That's something that over my last 12 years on City Council, numerous meetings, both in terms of being invited out to meetings, but also hosting gatherings to connect with folks in the community to learn what's going on, what we need to be working on as a city. But it's something that as mayor, I plan to continue as we go forward, in fact, and expanding on that to connect with as many different people as possible.
Great, thank you very much. We will have a chance to test those knowledge and connection in next interview.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
dhegeystayaal kaasina waa andrenaga oo u sharaxan duqa magaalada Edmonton isla markaasna stuudiyaha noogu marti ahaa aad iyo aad ayay u mahadsantihiin